Luffy's getting thick. Welcome one, welcome all. Young boy Egghead, ready for the review. So, this week's chapter, I'm going to go ahead and say it. 7 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. I mean, like, I gotta fix my feet real quick before I do this whole thing. Luffy's getting thick. I love it. He's getting beefed out. Big, beefy boy. Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon. Just with the puffs. And that's good to see. Like, some physical development for Luffy. That's pretty good to see. I don't know how much bigger he's going to get from all of these moving rocks. I think this is going to be his size for the rest of the series. And I got everything back on the phone. So, let's talk about the gag of Raizo putting in all the work and getting the keys to free Luffy, and then having Queen show up to give him an execution and not needing the keys. Cool. Could use the keys for Kawamatsu. I think Raizo's whole purpose of him being in there to break out is just a tool for Kawamatsu to get onto their side again. So I think the whole entire reason that Raizo is there is not to get Luffy free and actually break him out. It's to merge the two between Kawamatsu and Luffy to get them together for the alliance, because Kawamatsu seems like he's going to follow Luffy because he said it's been awfully noisy ever since that kid came here. And then he says, LuffyTaro, we need Grandpa Hio to survive this. Meaning that Kawamatsu, if Raizo didn't introduce him to Luffy, would have probably been left in the cell if Luffy were to break out on his own. So I think that's one of the reasons why Raizo is there. I thought it was funny that Queen just kind of let him go and then put on the BDSM choker and said, like, you're going to die now. This is far more dangerous than the Sea Stone Prism cuffs that I put on you. And Luffy's like, all right, I'm basically free. Like, it's time to go. And then Queen puts down center stage the sumo ring, the Sumo Inferno ring. And it's cool to see, but I wish there would have been more of a, how do you say it? Like a more like hammered down consequence. Like I would have rather have seen Queen show up and kick Luffy's ass and try and kill him, and then say, before I kill you, join the Beast Pirates and then I'll forgive you, instead of setting up a sumo ring and having more fodder go after Luffy. I would much rather have seen Queen go after Luffy directly, and then Grandpa Hio still be in the way, and have Luffy juggle fighting Queen in the prison and Grandpa Hio. Because I think the way Queen's devil fruit works out is I still believe she's some mythical variant of a scorpion, just from like her whatever that thing is, from his hairline, which I don't have anymore, and his mustache really resembles a scorpion. So if Luffy, let's say this happens, right? Let's say Luffy does defeat Queen in a timeline where instead of doing the sumo wrestling, Queen fights Luffy one-on-one for punishment. Queen's mythical variant of the scorpion fruit has an even more enhanced basic like recovery speed. We see that like mythical zones have a higher recovery speed than zones, and zones already have a pretty unprecedented recovery speed when it comes to their devil fruits. That's just their enhancement. Physical enhancement, you get the attributes of whatever animal, fish, insect, whatever the zone is, right? Mythicals are just the stronger variant of that. So with Queen's recovery speed being that of a mythical zone, it wouldn't be impossible for Luffy to defeat Queen, the second commander, and then have Queen be set into the Fire Festival final fight, because it's 9 days from now. So we get another little time exposition for how far away the Fire Festival actually is. And the thing that's the most surprising from last chapter into this chapter, with the two kind of like dialect boxes that we get, is that from this chapter we have 9 days until the Fire Festival, and from the last chapter we had somebody saying how I don't think we can get 5,000, let alone, or I don't think we can get 500 people to follow us, let alone 5,000. And I'm going to skip ahead real quick to the bathhouse scene where Shinobu, Robin, and Nami were talking. And Nami noticed, or when Drake and Hawkins were infiltrating the bathhouse looking for Sanji, Hawkins goes, I want everybody to line up, single file line, and I want you to show me your ankles. And so he then says, if you have a crescent waning moon on your ankle, you're getting took. You're getting slapped right now. You're getting thrown in jail. So that means that there's a leak of information from the Alliance. There's a traitor among the Alliance, or there's a rat/mole among the Alliance. So that's going to be probably brought to light within the next, I want to say, like 5 chapters, or like right before the Fire Festival, for them to realize what's happening within the whole entire crew. Now, jumping back to the prison real quick, Grandpa Hio is having more and more emphasis put onto his character. So last chapter we figured out, or we were told, that he was the head of the Yakuza bosses, like all of them. And he was the most chivalrous man, and like the common folk loved him, and then like Odin loved him, and he was just like this super good dude, and probably like a badass, and kept everything in line for the back programs of Wano, with like the weapon smuggling, like the prostitution, and all that kind of stuff. But he seems to be like a good character, like a character of the people. So in the next upcoming chapters, we're probably going to see Grandpa Hio Kawamatsu meet up with Ashura Joji, or they're going to meet up with the crew itself after the prison break. And Grandpa Hio is going to be able to be like a catalyst for them to get more people on their side to fight Orochi. And I think that's his plot line that's going to be playing out. And then we're going to jump back to the bathhouse. I was confused for the panel where it shows Shinobu, and she says something, and then it says ... and then there's an eye in her pigtail. And I don't know if that was Sanji's eye, or if she had like some ninjutsu thing going on, but there's like the panel with the eye in it, and I don't know what's going to be brought of that. I'm going to have to look at a couple more like context clues for it. That was something to look out for. And then I'm surprised that Oda didn't take it far enough to where Sanji saw Nami's whole figure, the whole thickness that was Nami. She was thick and thick, and she just had the giddies out, and she was having the giddies out, and she was dumping. Alright, I'm done with that. Nami's thick too. Mad thick. But going back to the gag, it would have been a lot funnier if Sanji died straight up on the spot, because he got a massive nosebleed and almost died from the mermaids at Fishman Island. And if he's in love with Nami and saw the whole shebang, probably should have died. Alright, I'm kidding. Sanji shouldn't have died, but his blowback from the nosebleed was pretty sick. But I've seen it so many times, so it's like it was kind of overblown. I wish it was a lot more over dramatic, because it is Nami herself. And so there's a theory that Drake was scared of blood all the way back in Sabaody, and I only just figured that out because I did a little bit of research in between the live reaction and this review. And the chapter that I was reading, the translation said Hawkins was asking Drake, are you so nervous to see women naked, or are you so nervous to see women's bodies? And then I read the J Minis box, and then I read the Viz translation, and he says, he averts it and says, it's like not a woman, it's like, oh, it's the sight of that ... and then you see him like kind of kneel back, and his eyes look like kind of woozy, like the sight of blood. So I don't know why that would be of any importance for Drake to be squirmish of blood, but it may play a factor in the next few fights, especially like the big fights. Like Drake that might be like his quirk, to where like let's say he's this strong, and here's Zoro, right, and they're going at it, and like he cuts Zoro, and then all of a sudden Drake's like, and then like Zoro cuts Drake, and then Drake looks down at his wound, and he's like, blood. I hope that's not really like a thing. I hope he gets over it. And then once again we have the runaround with Hawkins and Drake looking for Sanji, and it's still drawn out. We don't know what happened to Page 1. We don't know if Page 1 was ultimately defeated, or if Sanji just gave him the runaround and ran away. And then we cut to the end of the chapter where Zoro meets Big Daddy Boy, the dude with the 18 katanas and the hammer and the tridents and the pitchforks and all the crazy weapons. He's a weapon collector. I'm saying it right now because the chapter said it. Zoro said, "Are you a weapons collector?" And then the dude's talking about how Shushui should be back in the possession of Wano and how his grave was violated and how this is a national treasure. And I think what's going to happen in the next chapter, if Oda doesn't do the thing where he cuts to another different scene, and hopefully he starts off the chapter with this ending of this chapter, is that Zoro, while fighting him, is giving him the story of Ryuma and Thriller Bark, and it's kind of like you see, it's not a heavy fight. It's not like a Rob Lucci or like a Luffy Katakuri fight, but it's more than a clash. It's more than this one panel that we got where Zoro is hitting the shaft of his Basento with his swords, trying to get Shusui back. I think it's going to be an actual, I don't want to say mid-tier, but a more drawn-out fight than a clash, but not an ultimate fight. And I think as he's doing the fight, as they're fighting, Zoro's going to be explaining the story, and then we're going to get a little bit of backstory for Shusui and swords in general from the dude that he's fighting, because he seems to be a weapons collector. And going back to Tengu guy, right? Tengu had the Nidai Kitetsu, and I think he has a couple more decent swords on him. And I think this is going to lead into a plot point where Zoro learns about the ancestry and the lore of swords, learning more of like all kinds of swords in general, and like how Wano makes their swords and like the craftsmanship and all that kind of stuff. And I think what's going to happen is during this fight, the swordsman's going to realize how sick Zoro is, or the what do you call him, the weapons collector is going to see how sick Zoro is, and I'm hoping that this weapons collector is also a swordsmith. I don't know if he's like a direct descendant of the Kitetsu who made the Kitetsu blades. That would be cool, but I wouldn't be like, oh my god, that's so sick. I just hope that he's an actual swordsmith himself, so then we can get to the plot point of Zoro finally getting his own sword crafted for just him. So then he would have the Kuina blade, the Wado Ichimonji, and the whatever other one he has, the Sandai Kitetsu, not the Nidai. And then if he upgrades to the Nidai, he'd give back the Sandai. Is it Sandai? I can't remember, whatever the third one is. But I hope that this is a plot point that drives Zoro to finally getting his own sword. And I hope that this weapons collector is the guy who helped Zoro do that. And then later down the line, we get to it. And then last, like, quick little thought is we've been in Wano since chapter 908, and we're coming up on 937. And Zoro and Sanji still have not met. And from the location on the map that Oda gave us, he's in the Ringu. He's in Ringu, which is on the whole other side of Wano, and Sanji is still in the flower capital on the whole other side of Wano. So Zoro split even farther to where it's like if this was the map of Wano, right? Here was Zoro, here was Sanji. Now here's Zoro and here's Sanji, and I really hope that with more of this drawn out, because it's not noticeable that the whole Sanji thing is on Zoro's mind. From even the beginning of the arc in Act 1, Zoro doesn't really question Luffy where Sanji is, and I hope that this doesn't turn out to be some super elaborative gag and everything's good. I'm really hoping that there is this internal conflict. By the way, I don't know how to do this thing where you put the link up in the video, but go to my page and go look at my Zoro versus Sanji conflict video, because that ties into this. And I hope we actually get some conflict before the Fire Festival, because if it's after the Fire Festival, I don't think there's going to be any conflict. I need Zoro and Sanji to have conflict and dialogue and moral correction and questioning and all this type of shit before they actually reach the Fire Festival, so then they fight again on equal terms. Because if there's this shit talking during the final fight between Zoro and Sanji, I can definitely see a way where they both are like bickering at each other and Kaido's crew just not giving a single to give. and just comes in, slaps them both, and they're both just knocked out, KO, done for. So I hope that doesn't happen. So, like the video. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm working on getting to 100 subscribers. That'd be really cool. If you guys have anything to say, good, bad, ugly, beautiful, Sanji's nosebleeds, Nami's thickness, Luffy getting jacked, let me know in the comments below. Thank you all. Egghead out.